Malta, home to some of the oldest man-made structures in the world and the only European Semitic-speaking nation. But this small piece of land in the Mediterranean is so much more. I'm Lex Universe and this is Malta. Hello Internet, welcome to Lex Universe. So in this video I want to give you a short breakdown about how the public transportation in Malta works. I will make one more video about some general tips about Malta, but this one will be more into depth because I think you can spare a lot of money if you use the public transportation in Malta, and on the first glance it looks really unreliable, but well, if you watch this video I will show you that that's not the case. Mostly, and I will explain you how to use the public transportation here. If you're interested in that, well, let me show you my intro and let's get to it. Alright, so I had to move. I'm on my rooftop terrace here in my accommodation in Valletta, but it's getting dark, so I'm not even sure I will stay here, but right now I had to move from that giant umbrella because it was kind of dark under it. Anyway, if you want to travel by bus, well, by public transportation in Malta, here's several tips. First, I will start with the negatives because there are some and I want you to know them in the first place, but stick till the end of the video because I think what I'm about to share with you will be a lot more interesting. But first of all, one of the main negatives of the public transportation in Malta is sometimes the buses are delayed because the travel situation or the traffic situation on the streets is not perfect. Especially during the rush hours, the buses arrive quite late and also depart, but you know, like the arrival is more important for you because then you know that the bus is actually coming. Which is the next point, because sometimes the buses do not come. That's not very good. It happened to me only once on my stay, but it can happen, especially if you are somewhere in, you know, like if you are traveling between the main not cities, but the main population centers where there are large terminals, then the bus will always come. But sometimes I was at the Blue Grotto today, and there is the bus stop called Grotto, and one bus just didn't come because probably it was delayed, and it's kind of a detour, so it just probably the driver probably just figured out, okay, I'm not going there, I will go in the straight line and I will catch up later. Well, that's good for the people who are on the bus. That's very bad for the people who are waiting in the station. On the other hand, I don't know if you have ever really checked the map of Malta, but it's kind of small, so you always have some connections. So I was able to find another connection within say 15-20 minutes, and I arrived in Valletta with a delay of 1.5 hours. Not that much, you know. Another disadvantage, but this doesn't have to be disadvantage. It was a disadvantage for me, but it really depends where you come from. They drive on the left side of the road, so if you are at the bus stop and you know generally the kind of a direction that the bus is supposed to go, then the thing is it doesn't have to go that way, and it most probably sorry, I was a car. So you kind of have to remember they drive on left, so the bus stop in the direction they want to go will be on the left side. it's understandable, but you know, when you look at things and you have something like really stamped in your mind, it's really difficult to get rid of it. So keep that in mind. It might come useful when you find for the right bus stop. Also, the third thing that I would say is kind of a bummer here is sometimes the places are not really walkable. It's not true about the Valletta, because Valletta is very small and there are basically no buses here, so everything is within a walking distance. And like when I extended, everything on Malta is within a walking distance, but sometimes the bus stop is on the most inconvenient place that you can possibly imagine. That's not very good, is it? Okay, so that was me complaining about the Malta's public transportation for a few minutes. Now let's get to the real deal. How to use public transportation on Malta. First of all, there is something that I would recommend to you that I haven't done, and I have been regretting it ever since. And that is, get the Tallinja Card. This is preferably intended for the Maltese residents, but you don't need to be resident to apply for it. If you want to travel here and you intend to do it for multiple days, you don't even have to, but hear me out. Apply for the card. You will need to do it in advance. If you are not a Maltese resident, which in most cases you aren't, you will need to send them the number of your passport, then upload the scan of your passport and your passport photo, and they will create the card for you. Then you will pick it up at some of these Malta public transportation booths, and you will get the card. Once you have the card, you have to tip it up with some money, and then once you get to the bus, it will always take some money for the ride. Each ride on Malta is valid for 2 hours, so wherever you go, at least on the main Malta island, I will talk a little bit about the Gozo later, but if you travel in Malta island, you will always have one ticket for 2 hours. Now, if you get this card, the ticket will be for 70 cents, 75 cents. If you don't get this card, it will be for €2. But that's not the biggest advantage. The biggest advantage is you will need to pay it in cash, unless you have a Visa card. If you have a Visa card, you don't really basically need to worry about this. But if you really want to spare some money, well, keep it as an afterthought. Anyway, with a card, you will just put it on this device next to the driver anytime you enter the bus, and it will take the money from the credit that you have on the card. You will always need to have there at least these 75 cents for the ride. If you don't have the card, the principle is the same, but you will pay €2 for 2 hours, which is also not bad. But the thing is, you need to have that exact change. If you don't have it, well, I'm sorry for you, because the driver right now is not allowed to give you change back. It may change. It's one of the restrictions regarding COVID-19. But anyway, I would really recommend you to get the Tallinja Card before you come to Malta. It will help you a lot. Also, once you enter, there is the possibility to get the tourist Tallinja cards. You can get it from these automatic machines that are on some bus stops, but these are kind of a more pricier. You can have one for I think 15 euro for 12 days or 12 rides, and then you can have one for like 14 days for 21 euro. Well, suit yourself. As you can see, I didn't know this before, so I've been using cash all the time, and even though I traveled quite a lot, I didn't spend that much money. But keep in mind that you need to have the change. Moving on, how do you travel? The first thing that you need to know is the numbering of the buses. If the bus is some number below 100, it is going from Valletta or to Valletta. Valletta is basically the main travel hub here in Malta. There are some others, but most of the buses do go from Valletta or to Valletta. They're like this network that has one point of origin that you go from. That's everything from 1 to 99. Don't get me by word, I don't know if all of these numbers exist, but you know what I mean. If the bus has more than 2 digits, which means 100 and higher, it's not going through Valletta or the adjacent city or town of Floriana, which is where the Valletta bus terminal is located. If you want to travel between some places in Malta, the chances are the quickest way possible is to go through Valletta, but sometimes there are direct buses that go from one place to another. Just today I went from Marsaslok to the Blue Grotto, and although there is the possibility to go through Valletta, I didn't have to. I went through this place called Marsa Park and Ride, which is located not that far from Valletta, but it was still shorter than go through Valletta, so keep that in mind. Saying that, it brings me to the point, how do you find your connections? You have basically like 2 possibilities. One, well, that's the thing that you should do, especially if you get the Tallinja Card. You should download the Tallinja app. It exists for Apple and for Android. It's supposed to allegedly tell you about the delays, but I haven't been able to find out how to do it. But anyway, you can search connections there. If you click on any stop there, you can find where it goes in the nearest future. The problem about this is you probably need like 40 university degrees to be able to operate the app. It is up to date, so that's going for it. And well, it is usable. I have been able to figure out how to work with it after several days, but if I should recommend you use Google Maps, it's really a lot easier, and it will usually give you a hint how to get somewhere. But if you don't believe Google Maps and you have enough time, you can probably just find the nearest departure to Valletta, and then in Valletta find the departure to the destination you want, because everything in Malta is connected with Valletta. As you can see now on the screen, this is the picture of what the bus terminal in Valletta looks like. It's the largest bus terminal in Malta by far, and there you can see basically, if you zoom in, you can find any destination you want. But it takes some time to get around, but just walk there. There are 3 types, A, B, C. A are the closest places in Malta, B further, C even further, you know what I mean. So if you want to use buses on Malta, how to do it? Unless you're departing from the first station and arriving in the last station, there are 2 things that you need to do. If the bus is coming to your station, you need to hail it so that it knows that it should stop for you. If you want to get out of a bus on a station that is not the last station of the line, you need to press this stop button that you can see on the screen right now, and the bus will stop for you. Sometimes they tell you the names of the stations, sometimes they don't, but you will always see them on the screen in the front of the bus. This is kind of important, because if you don't do that, the bus will not stop for you. It always stops only when there is someone who wants to get into the bus or get out of the bus. Moving on to Gozo, it has its own separate network of buses. They do go all around the island, but again, it's networking from the capital of Victoria. So basically, wherever you want to go on Gozo, you will have to go through Victoria, and your ticket that you bought on the bus on the Malta island is not valid on Gozo, even though the 2 hours that it's valid for haven't still expired. So you will need to buy a new ticket on Gozo. If you have the Tallinja card, if you put the card on the counter at the driver's seat, it will take away more money from your credit. That's basically all I can say about Gozo. Of course, buses are not the only thing that you can use to travel around Malta. There are no planes because there is only one airport, and there used to be a tram, but they cancelled it. But what I can do, there are some ferries. The ferries across the base around Valletta to the three cities or to Sliema to the north. They all cost €1.50 for one ride, €2.80 for the return ride. They're very quick. They operate every half an hour, so that's kind of convenient. The ticket for the ferry from the three cities also includes the ticket for the lift up to the Upper Barrack Gardens. Anyway, that's still not everything. It's really getting dark, so I will speed it up. If you don't want to go by bus, and I don't blame you, because sometimes getting by bus in Malta is very inconvenient. Like for example, today I went for massage lock to Blue Grotto, which is like 6 kilometers apart, and by bus I traveled, I don't know, like 40. So that's really inconvenient, but you can change this by, well, ordering a taxi. Well, taxis are quite expensive. First of all, you can get Bolt here. Not Uber, but you can get Bolt. But that's not the cutest thing here, you know? You know how in many places east of Slovakia, they have these shared taxis? Well, they have the same thing here, but they put it on the next level. Here, you have shared taxis that you can order by an app. There are two apps. There's the Ride, with a Y, and Cool, with a weird thing above the two O's. And these two apps allow you to order a cab, but it's shared with other people. Well, it will not give you probably the direct road, because there will be other people entering the cab and then like leaving it, but it's a lot quicker than a bus, a lot more convenient. It's kind of more expensive than a bus, but it's also quite less expensive than a taxi. So that's something that you should consider, and definitely download these two apps before you come to Malta. So I really hope that I broke down the way how to use public transportation on Malta as much as I could, as easily as I could, and that you understand it very well right now. If you found this video interesting, if you enjoyed it, if you liked it, please give me a like, subscribe to my channel, check out my other social media, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day.